Welcome to the Dice Gods, my name is Hydra, and today we're taking a look at REM Racers, the upcoming board game from Corvus Belli set in the Infinity Universe. First, a big thank you to Corvus Belli for sending us a preview copy of the game for us to have a play with. We really appreciate it, guys. If you've not been on the hype train, REM Racers is a board game version of Mario Kart. That really is what we're talking about here. From the controller-style player tracker to the actual gameplay, REM Racers' influences are clear. Note that if you're not a player of Infinity, the war game which shares a world with REM Racers, REM is short for remote. Remotes are effectively like drones or remote-controlled vehicles. That's what you're going to be racing. A game for 2 to 5 players, REM Racers takes easily over an hour to play, with more players and the track layout also having a big impact on game duration as well. A long track with 5 players is going to take some time. The box says it's for ages 10 and up, and that seems about right. This does feel like a game that the family can enjoy with older kids. If you missed our unboxing video, link above and in the description, the box includes everything you need to play, including a set of 2-sided track pieces which allow you to construct many different racetracks, some examples of which you can find on the last page of the rulebook. There are also a wealth of tokens and cards, the 5 REM playing pieces, some 12-sided dice, controllers for each REM, and the rulebook. Equally, the cards, controllers and tokens are very nice and feel like they will last well with repeated games. The REMs themselves are single-piece plastic and come on their own hexagonal bases. The detail and quality of these is good quality board game pieces. Some of them needed a little bit of clean-up for bits of flash in the odd mould line, which only really matters if you're going to paint them. If you're just going to use them like board game pieces, they're perfectly fine and gorgeous to use out of the box. A thing to note for you Infinity players out there, these REMs are a lot smaller than the REMs from the game. You won't be getting a cheeky alt sculpt for your Infinity here, I'm afraid. Gameplay wise, REM Racers is easy to pick up and quick to get going with. To start, you pick one of the tracks, build it, then let each player choose a REM and take the corresponding controller. On the controller, each REM has a different set of stats for shooting, armor, and BP, with BP being resistance to energy attacks. If you know Infinity, there are no surprises here. The Panoceanian REM shoots well, and the Nomad one is strong against hacking and energy attacks. Choosing which REM you have will have some impact on the way the game plays, but not sufficient that it skews or breaks the game in any meaningful way. It just gives it some flavour. These controllers also track the damage taken by the REM on the top left dial. You start the game with 3 structure points, which can be lost in various ways. On the top right, you have your acceleration. This starts at 1 and goes up to 4. Each player is then dealt a random pilot who will give your REM a unique action, which can be used once per lap. These actions vary from okay to bonkers good. Not game-breaking, but some certainly feel more potent and useful than others, whilst some are incredibly situational. Each player rolls a dice, with the results deciding who goes where on the grid to start the race. The game turn then goes in grid order. The person at the front goes first. When it's your turn, first you move. You do this by choosing one of the templates corresponding to the current speed of your REM. You place the chosen template in contact with the front of your REM, pick up your REM and place it at the other end of the template. And that's it. The move's done. If you hit the wall or another REM, a collision is resolved. This entails stopping your movement where the impact occurs. If you hit the wall, you draw a card to see what happens. This can be damage or change in speed or nothing. Then you turn your REM to choose the direction you'll go next turn. However, if you hit another REM, then you need to remove the REM that you hit, place a template, roll a dice, and place the hit REM where the dice roll decides. This can then result in another hit if the REMs are really close together, to get a multiple car pile-up. If this sounds a little fiddly, it is. This is probably the weakest point of the game. Collisions can be a bit of a faff to sort out and slow the game down. The ease and slickness of the rest of the game makes this really stand out. It's far from a deal breaker, but in a game with such easy and accessible mechanics, this one is a little bit of a fiddly low point. But back to the turn. Now it's time to use your equipment. When you move to a new piece of track, you can pick a card from the equipment deck. If you have any equipment, you can use it at this point to mess with your opponents. Equipment includes weapons, oil slicks, mines, and the ability to hack your opponent's REMs. You can only have 3 in your hand at any one time, but you can use as many as you want in a single turn. These are a lot of fun and can be devastating. I managed to destroy 2 already damaged REMs with a single flamethrower attack at one point. With your equipment spent, you can now adjust your speed up or down by 1 pip, and that's your turn. Turn order after the first round is done by position order on the board. And if you're wondering what happens when you're destroyed, well, next turn you go last, and I'll place halfway across the entry into the track piece where you were destroyed. So it's not a major penalty, but it's certainly an inconvenience. The game ends when a player has completed 2 laps. Now, this takes some figuring out, but the player who is the furthest over the line the turn after a player first completes 2 laps is the winner. Not the first person over the line, but the furthest over the line. This seems odd, but it does stop one player running away with the game and dominating. As we saw in our first game, even if it all goes wrong, you still have a chance of getting back into the game and winning. So what do we think about it? Our first game was a 4-player beatdown. It was engaging, simple enough to pick up, and good fun. Is it perfect? No. As mentioned, the collision process is a bit fiddly and slows things up. We also hit an issue with one of the cards which required the affected REM to use a closed corner. But from what we can see, nowhere was closed corner mentioned in the rules. We assume this was a mistranslation of sharp corner, which is used in the rules. But that was after a few minutes of page flipping and shrugging and scratching of heads. We also had an issue with the smooth track and the REMs. A nudge here or there and they change place really easily. This is a big issue with a game which uses movement templates, as a degree here or there will make a big difference to where you end up at the other end of a speed 4 move. This was compounded with the track. Being double-sided, it's really slippy, so moving a REM can make the track it's on move and move all of the pieces and the REMs around it. After our game, we talked about putting rubber on the bottom of the REMs to fix that to an extent, but the track moving is always going to be an issue. That said, this isn't a huge problem if you are taking this game as a bit of fun on a Friday night. But if anyone's taking the game competitively, this movement and wiggle issue is one to think about carefully and try and plan your way around. That said, when the game was done, we were all keen to play again. It's a fun, light game that is rewarding and a laugh. If you're a Mario Kart fan, this will scratch an itch you didn't even know you had. With the ability to set up different tracks, the different REMs, and the different drivers, it gives this game a great deal of replayability. No 2 games are going to be the same. I can see me revisiting this, and it's a good game to throw down with friends over beer and pretzels. There are already plans to take a copy to Spain for Interplanetary 2024, so it's definitely earned a place in our heart and our game rotation. And if you're not an Infinity fan with an understanding of the universe and lore, this is a fun, unique racing game that you'll love. You don't need to know anything about the wargame or the RPG to enjoy playing Mario Kart in space. You can pick up your copy from 1st of February 2024 at your local gaming or board game store. That's right, this isn't a Kickstarter or direct only. You should see this popping up on shelves all over the place. REM Racers has an RRP of €49.95 or $59.99 for our American friends, and for what you get in the box and the quality, this is pretty great value actually. So, will you be taking to the track and speeding to victory? If so, let us know in the comments, and which REM you're looking forward to driving and why it's the Nomad one. Thanks as ever for watching. Don't forget to give us a like, subscribe and ring the bell to get more from the Dice Gods. If you want to support the channel, you can join our Patreon so we can do even more of this for your viewing pleasure. Thanks again, and we will see you again soon.